Wall Street rallies. The Dow gains for the 11th straight day, with the street largely a quarter-point hike from the US Fed's policy meet beginning today. Stocks in the Asia-Pacific open mixed, while the GIFT Nifty is implying a higher start for the Indian market. Crude prices surge over 2%. Brent tops $82 a barrel as China pledges more support for its troubled property sector. Tighter supplies also push prices higher. Tata Steel delivers a beat in the first quarter, aided by strong performance by the India business, while the European business struggles. Debt levels also rise due to capex spending. Strong profit and EBITDA growth seen from Asian Paints in the first quarter. The paint maker is also expected to deliver significant margin expansion and 10 to 12% volume growth. A strong quarter is also seen from Bajaj Auto, with margin expected to come in at record levels. Strong domestic volume growth is, however, likely to be offset by flailing exports. SEBI sets the stage for a slew of reforms. Chairperson Madhavi Puri Booth says talks are underway to bring an instant settlement in the stock market. Also says it is exploring delisting through fixed price and will float a discussion paper on the norms by the end of the year. Good morning in the Mumbai News Centre. I'm Sonal Bhutra. You're watching Power Breakfast here on CNBC TV18. Those are the top headlines which we'll discuss in greater detail. But first up, let's take a look at what the Asian markets are doing. Stocks in the Asia-Pacific are trading mixed this morning. This is after China promised additional measures to boost its real estate sector and support its economy. In fact, the Communist Party's Politburo said that China faces new challenges and economic recovery will be tortuous. This comes just days after weak economic data from Beijing signaled the need for more policy action to support growth. So while it is a mixed session that we are seeing, the Hang Seng is higher in trade right now. But taking a look at what the Shanghai is doing, and that is the one that should ideally be reacting because we've seen a stimulus coming by. So the Shanghai markets are higher by 1.5%. Hang Seng too is gaining in trade as we speak, up around 2.5%. The Taiwanese index too higher by 0.9%. It's the Nikkei which has come in for some profit taking. But SGX Nifty, or GIFT Nifty, so to say, that one is indicating that the start for our own markets will be in the green. A 28-point uptick is what GIFT Nifty is suggesting right now. And in the US markets, Wall Street ended yesterday's trading session higher. The Dow Jones surged 183 points, notching its longest winning streak in 6 years. The S&P 500 closed 0.4% higher, and the tech-heavy index, the Nasdaq Composite, ended nearly 30 points higher. Meanwhile, several tech giants are slated to report earnings this week, including Alphabet, Meta, and Microsoft. Commentary on demand will be key to watch. Staying with the U.S. market cues, the Federal Reserve will begin its meeting today. Investors are trying to gauge how many more interest rates are on the cards. CNBC's Steve Leisman explains. All right, FOMC meet begins today. We'll keep getting you updates on this one. But that's the global market action. How will these overnight cues impact our own markets? We have our own cues to track as well. A lot of earnings which are trickling in. Our research team is joining in with what the trade setup looks like, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and the action from the F&O space as well. Hey guys, a very good morning to all of you. Ekta, let me come across to you first up. Tell us all about the market cues that will be in focus today.
Thanks for that. Well, yes, yesterday, it was a choppy start to the week. The markets ended largely lower in what was a muted session. We had the Nifty, which breached that 19,700 mark. The Nifty bank slipped, and the mid-cap index ended 52 56 odd points lower. FIIs net sold for the second consecutive session, but it was a marginal sell figure which came through, so it was around 83 odd crores in the cash market. A trend will be important to watch when it comes to the FIIs. DIIs, however, net bought quite handsomely, so they net bought around 834 odd crores. Earnings and global cues are going to continue to be top of mind, so the markets, remember, have reacted to earnings such as HUL, Infosys, Kotak, Reliance Industries just in the past two trading sessions to give you a sense in terms of how important earnings is probably becoming as a cue now. We have result reactions today. Tata Steel, Shoppers Stop, JK Paper, and the likes of Asian Paints as well as Bajaj Auto, which will be reporting numbers. In terms of the global setup, that's probably going to aid us in terms of support because the US, the Dow has gained for the 11th straight day. Asia, China has vowed to support its ailing real estate market, so that's definitely fired up equity markets such as Hong Kong. And crude oil is higher on tighter supply as well as China hopes. So Brent crude is above $80 per barrel. SGX is indicating a positive start, probably aided by what we are seeing in the global markets. We have the big cues from the Fed, ECB as well as the BOJ meets this week. So that will continue to be one of the big cues that the street will monitor.
Okay, all right. A lot of global and domestic cues that we are watching out for. Thank you, Ekta, for that. But a lot of stocks that will be in focus as well. Surbhi has that list. Hey, Surbhi.
Hey Sonal, so a lot of earnings that we'll be reacting to. The first one is Tata Steel. The numbers have beat expectations. Revenues have come in at 59,500 odd crores, EBITDA at 5,174 crores. Shoppers Stop, the revenues were up nearly 5% on a year-on-year basis and EBITDA was up nearly 6% on a year-on-year basis. JK Papers, the revenues were up 11%. The company saw some gross margin contraction, came in at 55% versus 57%. Chennai Petro, the revenues were down 36% and the EBITDA was down 72% on a year-on-year basis. Other than that, Reliance Industries will be in focus. The company invests nearly 400 crores in Mercury Holdings. SJVN, Arunachal Pradesh government allocates 5 hydro projects to the company, and lastly Torrent Power will also be in focus as the company launches EV public charging stations.
Okay, all right. Those are the stocks that will be on our radar. Let's talk about the F&O space as well. Nigel is joining in with all the cues. Hey, Nigel, morning.
Well, morning, Sonal. You know, the FIIs, they haven't been showing us the money just for 2 sessions in the cash market. And in the F&O market as well, the cues are a little bit softish. So getting into an expiry, well, they have unwound some longs as well as short positions. And on the option side, well, they bought more calls than puts. But yet again, they're writing more calls than puts. So they wrote calls to puts in the ratio of 2:1. That's telling you at higher levels, we're likely to see some selling pressure. And that's why yesterday as well, from the high point of the day, we did sell off and we ended virtually at the low point of the day. 2 strikes were in focus yesterday. The 19,700, 19,750 call. Between them, it added more than 90 lakh shares. Also telling you that call writing is very, very aggressive. But today, the second half of trade will belong to the Nifty Financial Services Index because that plays out expiry. And there was some writing being seen both at the 20,600 call as well as the 20,400 put. So that will be the broad range for the day itself. In terms of the Nifty, the near-term support, well, since you did see some bit of action even at the 19,600 put, well, you'll say the near-term support comes in at around 19,600. If that breaks, then we're sliding down to around the 20 DMA, which comes in at around 19,423 odd. The GIFT Nifty, the last time I checked, the implied number would be a green start, but holding on to that will be crucial. And let's see how things go because we have a big global queue coming in from the Fed. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that, Nigel, Surbhi and Ekta. It's going to be an important earnings day for us as well. But we'll do one thing, slip into a short break. When we come back, we'll analyze Tata Steel's Q1 numbers and get an earnings fine print as well. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. Let's get you some earnings analysis now. Tata Steel beat street expectation with its Q1 numbers. Nigel is back with us with the earnings fine print. Nigel.
Well, that's right. Tata Steel's numbers, look more good than bad. And in fact, if we're looking at the consolidated EBITDA number itself, that was a bit of a beat in comparison to what we were working with by around 100 crores. So that's a 2% beat out there. But for Tata Steel, as we know, we look at the segmental breakup, which is very important. So for the India business, they have reported that the India EBITDA comes in at around 16,000 rupees per ton. We were working with a number of around 13,500 rupees per ton. And, if you look at the trend, well, it appears that on a quarter-to-quarter basis, there's no compression. But this quarter, it included a higher other income. And in their calculation that they give the EBITDA per ton, they include the other income, which normally we ignore. But stripped of that, actually, the EBITDA per ton is around 14,000 rupees per ton. So 14,000 rupees per ton is still better than a poll of around 13,500 rupees per ton. The European business, it continues to struggle. We know that they had a shutdown out there because one of their blast furnaces was shut down in the Netherlands. And that's why it continues to report losses. And it's as bad as we expected. We'll wait for the management commentary to understand how soon can they turn that around or what is the plan with regard to the European operations. Moving to the net debt number, well, that moved up by close to around 3,500 crores odd. But that's because of the capex plan that's underway. And that's why that number did spike up. We'll be speaking to the management later today. And we'll get you all the details on that front. But for the time being, these numbers look better than what we were working with. Back to you.
Okay, all right. That's about Tata Steel. Thank you, Nigel, for that analysis. Moving on now. Market regulator SEBI is working on a slew of reforms for the Indian capital markets, starting with real-time settlement of transactions. Chairperson Madhupuri Bhuj said yesterday that this comes just 5 months after it shifted to the T+1 settlement system. The SEBI chairperson also said a review of delisting regulations is in the works. The regulator is exploring a fixed price mechanism for delisting rather than the current practice of reverse book building. She also said that a consultation paper on delisting norms would be out by the end of the year.
So 3,500 crores of the interest value of funds which have been released into the system on account of the improvements that we have brought into the ecosystem through the use of technology. This is on an annual basis. One of the things that we think is not very far off is even instantaneous settlement on the stock exchange. We are currently working on that. We are engaged with the ecosystem. And we believe that in the not very far future, we will have a mechanism which will facilitate instantaneous settlement.
Okay, all right. With that, we'll slip into a short break. Up next, we'll get you all the cues from the commodities market. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back. Well, it's time to talk all about commodities now. Big moves in the crude oil markets. Let's get in Manisha Gupta joining us with all the update. Hey, Manisha, good morning.
Morning, Sonal. Thank you for that. Well, we've seen the prices gain up by 2% overnight, and this comes in on the back of 4 weeks of gains for the crude oil prices. We are trading Brent at almost $83 a barrel, which is a 3-month high, and the support comes in from global supplies. Remember, Russia and OPEC and allies have started to cut production even more stronger in the month of July, and you will see deeper cuts in August. Also, the Chinese demand seems to be looking firm, and that has been supportive. The city has come out with the latest report suggesting that the third quarter average price for crude would be at $83 a barrel. The markets will, of course, watch out for the U.S. Fed statements that come in tomorrow. The 2-day meeting starts today, and then you have European Central Bank, Bank of Japan meetings as well. So this promises to be a data-heavy week in that sense. It's only the crude oil prices which are trading firm. Otherwise, the metals, which is gold, silver, copper, zinc, all of them have started yet another day on the negative side.
Okay, all right. So mixed cues coming in from the commodity space. Thank you so much, Manisha, for joining us and explaining what's happening there. Moving on now, Parliament Logjam continues as the opposition parties demand Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement on the Manipur issue. Meanwhile, the PM will address the BJP parliamentary party meeting today to chalk out the strategy for monsoon session. As the ruckus continues in both the houses, the opposition held an all-night relay march that will end at 10:45 a.m. today to express their solidarity towards the Aam Aadmi Party and the Manipur violence. The India Alliance parties have also decided to meet the opposition leader Mallikarjun Kharge to discuss strategies for the monsoon session of Parliament. Okay, let's get you the latest weather news. Incessant rains continue to ravage India. Several states have reported heavy rainfall and waterlogging. Many low-lying areas are waterlogged in Mangaluru. Agricultural fields have been flooded. IMD has issued a red alert in Dakshin Kannada district. The weather department has also sounded a red alert in Telangana for the next 3 days. Intense torrential rain in Gujarat has led to massive flooding. Reportedly, 3 people from Rajkot and 2 from Junagadh have been swept away. The NDRF has been deployed for rescue operations as well. Okay, all right. With that, we will move on and quickly take a look at what the Asian markets are doing right now. We did see mixed cues coming in. However, it is high as far as the Hang Seng is concerned. It was up around 2.5% when we started the show. It's higher by 3% right now. The Shanghai market's also doing well after that stimulus that the Chinese government has announced, and the Taiwanese index up by around 1%. Gift Nifty is indicating that the start for our own markets will be in the green, 36 points higher there. So watch out for that one. A lot of earnings as well to track today. With that, we'll take your leave on this edition of Power Breakfast. Stay tuned. Bazaar Morning Call comes up next.